evening. Welcome to the Pearl Report. I'm Diana Lin. At least 300,000 people in Hong Kong suffer from an anxiety disorder. Severe anxiety can be debilitating, preventing the afflicted from doing the simplest tasks, such as meeting friends or driving a car. Producer Eric Capoon looks at sufferers from different walks of life to find the root cause of their anxiety and their treatment.
"40-year-old Bill from New York.
Since the time I was 7, actually, I had these huge goals for myself, and I planned to be an international businessman. I was fearless as a kid. As soon as I turned 18 and graduated high school, I joined the Marine Corps and wanted to run off to a life of adventure. I always wanted to excel, and at 20 years old, I became a corporal and a non-commissioned officer. It's a high level of responsibility and pressure.
Bill spent 4 years in the Marines, then got accepted into Rutgers University.
I finished with a 3.9 GPA out of 4 and was actually disappointed in myself. 10 days after I graduated, I was in China.
Less than 3 years later, in 2002, he started his own company in Hong Kong, exporting China-made goods to the U.S., traveling often between the two places.
Even on a Sunday, I would spend 8 hours working, and even going on vacation working.
In December 2009,
I had a first panic attack. I was on the computer. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a complete adrenaline rush. My heart started to beat, and I started to sweat, and I could feel butterflies in my stomach. Imagine an 800-pound tiger just walks next to me and comes into the room.
48 hours later, when the sensations had not subsided, Bill's friend took him to the hospital.
They did all kinds of tests on me. Finally, a psychiatrist came. They gave me a Xanax, and I just sort of relaxed.
Xanax belongs to a group of medicines called benzodiazepines.
Benzodiazepines work by suppressing the hyperactivities of your brain. The risk of taking benzodiazepines for a very long time will include addiction.
Bill was also given Lexapro, an antidepressant that increases serotonin, a chemical that helps regulate mood and emotions. He took both pills for 6 weeks, then just Lexapro for 18 months total.
Didn't have any panic attacks and felt okay.
When someone's having a panic attack, it means actually a very acute anxiety state, okay? And it comes suddenly. Anxiety is something we are experiencing in our everyday life. When someone's anxious, someone may have headache, you feel dizzy, blurring of vision, sweat, hear some high-pitched sound, stiffness over the neck and shoulder, got dry mouth, difficulty swallowing, heaviness over the chest, shortness of breath, also pounding heart, upset of the stomach, also bowel problem, shaking of the hands or legs, or there may be numbness, or even pin and needle sensation. For someone having an anxiety disorder, it may last for weeks. Even when they're having time to rest, the anxiety level may not come down. Anxiety disorders run in family. The other factor is the stress. But for the same event, how you interpret that event affects the level of stress you perceive.
I was under so much stress and a lot of self-created stress from being a perfectionist and trying to excel constantly.
In May 2010, he married his fiancée, Suki.
I really couldn't ask for a better wife, and I'm really blessed to have her. Anything that I needed to do along the way, and especially expressing it and talking about it, she's there. 5 or 6 months after I came off of Lexapro, I started to feel anxious again. Not a full-blown panic attack, but just anxious.
Bill's anxiety came mostly from work. He began catastrophizing situations in his mind. For example,
we were shipping a product in a new style of packaging, and we did all kinds of testing, condition testing, but it turned out that there was a chemical reaction between the packaging and the product. So suddenly this small problem somehow leads to my business collapsing, and it's over.
How are you today?
Doing great.
he started seeing Dr. Cindy Chan, a psychologist, in February 2012.
I did not want to go back on medication. She said that my prognosis is very good. That alone helped me to heal, because now I know I can get better.
Bill underwent weekly, then monthly cognitive behavioral therapy with Dr. Chan.
I help him to see that actually he is catastrophizing the situation.
Looking at that worst case scenario and recognizing that that's not that bad. I could start a new business, but it's very unlikely to happen.
Bill also feared having another panic attack, sometimes on the plane.
His automatic thoughts mainly, I'm going crazy and I'm out of control. These all exacerbate his anxiety. We decided to gradually expose to flying. I suggest him maybe to try the flight simulator in Hong Kong. After that, he scheduled some short trip abroad. The anxiety of flying subside gradually.
In November 2012, his daughter, Kayla, was born.
I thought this would be an especially concerning or nervous time for me, and it wasn't. It was just complete joy and delight, and I was so excited to have her. Anxiety is so incredibly common that I couldn't believe it. The minute that people see how open I am about it, suddenly all these people I know have panic attacks, have anxiety. I saw this in a lot of ways a blessing for me. At first I felt like it was just a curse. It's allowed me to refocus and think about the more important things of life, like my family and loved ones, and not taking anything for granted.
A 2004 study by the Chinese University of Hong Kong found 4.1% of respondents had generalized anxiety disorder, which is just one type of anxiety disorder.
There might be more and more people having the problem because of the environmental factors. Problem with housing, financial problems. The threshold for getting help is slightly getting lower, which is good because they may seek help at an earlier stage instead of leaving it till it's becoming very severe.
27-year-old Sean was a capital markets analyst at an international bank here.
I would be in by 8 o'clock, and most nights I'd leave maybe 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and definitely be working Saturdays and Sundays. Everybody has smartphones. If the phone buzzes, you have to get up and answer. It almost feels like there's absolutely no time where you're not at work. I was definitely learning a lot, and I really appreciated my time with my colleagues. So it wasn't too bad despite the long hours.
In late 2011, after about 2.5 years on the job, a new boss came in.
He would talk to my manager and ask my manager to have me do stuff, despite us sitting very close together. It was definitely unsettling. You feel very underappreciated. Many times we'd be finished with our task, maybe roughly 8 or 9 o'clock, and we'd be ready to go, and then the boss would give us stuff to do at the last minute and then head out of the office. With the amount of stress on the job and the amount of hours that you're just putting in, so you miss out on a lot of balance in life. Despite living in the same house with my parents, I almost never saw them. I was quite depressed towards the end of my time at the bank. I remember moments on the train where it was just very difficult to take a step forward or to get off the train because I knew what was coming ahead of me in the day.
The sufferer may be trying to avoid, the amount of stress he's facing, and that's why he might have difficulty even leaving the MTR. If the symptoms affect someone's daily life or work performance, or if the duration of the symptoms persists for long enough, the person may be suffering from anxiety disorder.
After 6 months with the new boss, Sean quit.
I started missing a lot of family events, birthdays, anniversaries. I decided, what's the point of working so hard? What am I doing this for if I don't ever get to actually spend time with my family, which is what matters to me the most? I am a little bit luckier where taking care of the family isn't as pressurizing as it is for many others. Right now at the moment, I'm essentially taking care of myself.
Sean now runs his own business.
We started this company called Something Fresh. You select a dish from our menu, and we send you the ingredients, washed, chopped, in the exact portions required, ready to go. So for you, it's a quick 5-minute mix or stir fry, and you have a fresh home-cooked meal. The idea really came about because while I was at the bank, there was not much time for exercise, and at the same time you eat a lot of junk food at the desk. It would be McDonald's or pizza. I physically felt sick. We focus on vegetarian food. We do have a lot of low-carb options, gluten-free options, vegan options. In my old job, you don't really see the tangible effects of what you're doing. Your bosses will take the pitch books into a meeting and then trash them after that. Whether the deal goes through, even if it does, you don't actually get to see what happens after that. Whereas what I'm doing right now, you get to directly interact with people and you get their feedback as to how your meals made them feel.
After the break,
my C-section incision reopened.
And how that led to one woman's struggle with postnatal depression.
I'm afraid to eat because I fear I will choke.
And a phobia with potentially serious impacts. Stay with us.